Good morning. Good morning. Um, we have Carly here. This is probably, oh, wait, maybe more. This is probably all you're going to see of her. Good morning. Good morning, Rashid. Good morning, Woody. Good morning. So, you want to know how to create an arch for the back of your hat? Hey, Doug. Doug is here too. All right. So, um, there was something I was going to mention. Oh, for those of you who might be following my journey to using sewing thread for embroidery, still ongoing. I haven't given up. Um, I've got some needles on the way. Got some more testing I want to do. I've actually been working with Joe Kramer. He's the instructor we had at um, Impressions Expo in Long Beach, which is, the person who got me all excited about this concept and this technique. But, I'm going to keep working on it. And as soon as I've got it, and I know I will, I'll turn it over and I'll bring it back to you guys. Okay, so today we are going to talk about the arch on the back of the hat. Now, when you do, Facebook user, gonna have to figure out how to get your name up there. Good morning. Um, so when you ask a digitizer to digitize for the arch on the back of your hat, what you're going to get is just kind of a generic arch because they don't have your hat. They don't have your hat to make an exact arch. But what if you have a client? Um, what if you have? Oh, Doug wants to pop back to the sewing thread. I'm going to try bonded nylon thread, which comes in many thicker sizes. It has a semi-sheen. Ooh, that's an idea. Let us know how it progresses. Okay, so back to the hats. Your digitizer does not know the exact arch of your hat. Well, how can you communicate that to them? Or for those of you who digitize for yourselves, how can you create the arch that matches the back of your hat? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. That's what we're going to talk about. Um, oh, yes, Doug. Doug wanted to mention that he uses that nylon thread for stitching on sewing leather. Another Facebook user, hello, hello, hello. We're just getting ready to go into our Match the Arches segment. Like I was saying, when you send your design to a digitizer, you're going to get a generic arch. But if you want an exact arch, or if you want to create your own exact arch, that's what we're going to do today. And now, this part, let me get rid of my image here. This part, where I'm going to show you how to actually find or make the arch, first thing you need to do is you need to do a little pencil work. Now, I used a Sharpie marker because we're videoing this and I wanted you to be able to see it. So you need your hat. You're going to need paper. And I like to use cardstock because, it's a little heavier. It's a little firmer. Um, my measuring tape. And because of how I'm going to work this measuring tape, I needed some Scotch tape as well. So we're going to take a minute. Oh, Frank. Hey, everybody. This is Frank. Hi, Frank. I should have known with the good afternoon. I am so sorry, Frank. Duh. All right. So here we are. We're going to draw an arch. You ready? Oops, I suppose I ought to hit the button on the right screen. Now this is it moving? Yep. This is just no audio. Again, hat, tape, pen, pencil if you don't want to mark up your hat. Oh, evidently I did have the audio on. You try to lay the arch as flat as possible on your cardstock, your paper. Trace the inside line. Trace where your hat band is. Mark the corners of your arch. Are we watching this? Are we seeing this? And then I'm just going to kind of define those areas. Give myself an idea that I've done a good job. Now, keep in mind that this arch drawing is for the outside edge of our arch, and we're going to be sewing on the inside edge on above. Actually, it is still the outside edge, but we're going to be sewing above that. Good morning, Ed Garcia. Good morning. So, I want to put a measurement in there. And I do that because I'm going to scan this. And when I bring it into software, I want to know where, in fact, I'm going to pause this here. I want to know what the distance is. Let me see if we can do this. Hold on. Apply settings. I want to know what the distance is between these points. Because when I bring it into my software, I want to match that distance so that I'm sizing my graphic, my image correctly. Now, the other thing you might notice here, I'm not starting way over here at the 1. I'm starting somewhere in the middle of my tape. And I do that because if you look at this particular measuring tape, that 1-inch space is not a true 1 inch. I don't trust it. So I always skip to the next line to start, and then I know. So I started at the number 3 line, so I know I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 inches. And I know that this is my arch edge outside the hat. All right. So I take my measuring tape and I'm very careful. I want to make sure it's precise. I don't want to just lay it in there helter-skelter. And then I'm going to take it to the scanner. And then I'm going to scan it. Let me get rid of this into my software. Now, here's my 3. There's my 7. I need to make sure that my graphic that I've just imported is the same size. So I make sure that my ruler is set to US measurement because I'm using the US measurement on my measuring tape. Of course, Frank, you'll want to flip the measuring tape over and use the metric side, but I suppose that would be the right side for you and this would be the wrong side. And, anyways, use the measurement system that you are most comfortable with. And then I'm just going to take and make a line or a box and make sure that it is sized correctly. Can you see this way up here? This is 4 inches. I want 1, 2, 3, 4 inches. So I now know that this area is the correct size on my screen. I'm going to get rid of that. All right, so the next thing I want to do is I want to draw a line, and not draw, let's digitize a running stitch. Frank says he's old enough to remember feet and inches. Yes. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take and pick up my running stitch, and I'm going to pick up the type of stitch. I want an open stitch, and I'm just going to go around. And I'm going to create that. And you probably can't really see that, so let me see if we can find another color. We got cat in the face. Let me enlarge this. All right. So, you know, I can't draw a straight line to save my soul. So so this line's a bit sketchy, but it's still good enough. Once we have our running stitch, we're just going to edit the nodes a bit. Just we know that this little bump here is not on the actual hat. So we're just going to edit the nodes a bit. Maybe bring this up a little bit more. Get rid of our image. Get an idea if it's, you know, how it's looking. And then when we're happy with that, we'll turn it into a satin. Unhide. Sorry, I did a lot of advanced work here. Okay, so hey Scott, Scott's here. Scott, you're gonna want to rewind after we're done to see how I got my arch. I actually traced it from the hat. So anyways, here's my arch that matches my satin arch that matches my drawing arch. Okay, now remember I said that this line is the outside edge. This is the outside edge of the hat. We're not going to stitch here. We want to stitch up here. But we want to accommodate for the seam allowance. Now the seam allowance is about 1/4 inch. Well, how do we get that 1/4 inch? Well, depending on your software, you could do an offset by 1/4 inch. All right, so that's from the center of our satin to this outside edge. That is 1/4 inch, and it's 1/4 inch all the way around. But what if you don't have that? All right. Oh, Barb's here. Good morning, Barb. Good morning. So what if you don't have a contour offset in your software? How are you going to get that 1/4 inch? Well, you might remember last week, and I just kind of quickly touched on this. You can create that using your satin. But because your satin is going to, whatever your satin width is, it's going to be centered on the line. You need to make it twice the size. So if I want to find my 1/4 inch edge, I'm going to need to make the satin a 1/2 inch. So if I open up the satin and I go to the width, the column width, and I change that to 1/4 inch. No, I'm sorry. I have to change it to a 1/2 inch. Remember, it's on center. I need to double it. There, that's better. Okay, looks like my 1/4 inch from my offset is a little bit larger. Now, if I break this apart, I can turn that into, no, evidently I can't. Break this apart. I can turn it into nothing. I can't do anything with it. There it is. I can turn it into a running stitch. Ta-da! Now that's my 1/4 inch. Good morning, Letty. Good. There you are, Frank. Frank, you got a face. Letty, I saw your dino hat. Love your dino hat. Letty's got a hat with a dinosaur on it. It's really cute. Um, Frank now has a face. Good morning. Okay, so I just made my 1/4 inch, and that just brings us to the 1/4 inch edge. You see this? Let me just get up here. There's a stitch line, a stitch line right here where the mesh has been folded over and stitched in place. We don't want to stitch there. We want to stitch above that. So now we have established where that stitch line is. All right. So we want to come above that. Remember, our whole idea is to follow this contour, not to create just a basic soft arch. We want to make this arch. This is rough, but we want to follow this arch. And to do that, we need to establish where that line is. And that's what we're working on. So now this is our seam line, and we want to go beyond that. So how far do you want to go beyond that? Well, I like a 1/4 inch. It works. It's really nice. It's just another bit above that seam. So again, how do you get that? Well, if you have this software, you can go through and make another offset. All right, that's another offset. But what if you don't? Okay, let me get rid of this. Let's turn this back into a satin border. And we're going to make that satin border another 1 inch wide or 1/2 inch wide, which will expand it off the center another 1/4 inch. And, oops, probably help if I were in the right place. Ah, there we are. So make that another 5. And just like we did before, we're going to break it apart and we're going to convert it to a line. We're going to convert it to a line. There we go. I'm learning. Okay. So, people, this is our stitch line. This is the path. You can't see a thing I just did. So, here we are. Let me go back. Okay. So we convert this to a line. Make it a satin. Enlarge the satin too. I get cat in my face, people. Why is it that they do that? Make that a 1/2 inch wide satin. Break it apart. Convert it to a line. Convert it to a line. And that's our stitch line. That's the line we want our text to follow. Not this soft, gentle curve arch up here. We want to follow this line. Somebody wants to come up and say hello. Say hello, Bella. Yeah, say hello. Yeah, you're a good girl. Yeah. All right. Cat in the face. So that's the line we want to follow for our text. And here's our text. I'm going to get rid of our image just because we all know what it looks like. So this is the text. Now, if your software doesn't have this capability, it's going to be a little more difficult. But what you're going to do is you are going to write your line of text. do all of your setting adjustments that you need to do, your densities, your compensation, your underlay, do all those. And then in this software, I am going to use an any shape function. And what that does, it allows me to add nodes and to bring a line of text wherever I want it to follow that arch. What do you think? Okay, so like I said, that was pretty easy for this particular software. And that's, people buy more expensive software to get more features. But what if you don't have that feature? Let's take this back to our straight line. Come along, little doggy. There we go. All right. So if we don't have that straight line, it gets a little trickier. You're going to break your text apart. You're going to break it apart again. And then, what are you doing here? You're going to draw your segments up. Trying to maintain your distance, your kerning. And if you are, oops, we don't want to move that. Give that back. And if you are stitching this using a curved hat hoop, remember you've got to path this to go center out. But if you're going to flatten this out and stitch it flat, you can go left to right, right to left, whatever your preference is. Come back here. Okay, and then what do we do here? Well, we're going to place our letters and turn them. Place our letter and turn it so that its feet are on the bottom. Carly, you got to get off the keyboard. Yep. Carly's all about standing on the keyboard. I don't know what it is about those keys. Maybe they tickle her toes. Now, if you turn and it's, too much turn, just get a little more precision. Just a little trickier because it's all manual placement. But again, it's just like I said last week. If your software has a running stitch, a satin stitch, and a fill stitch, you can do all of this. It just takes longer. Do, do, do. So you would just go through and place your letters where you need them. So what do you think? I just said yes, Doug. If you are running this, Doug wants to know if I wouldn't start in the middle. If I was putting this on my curved, my rounded hat driver, yes. just like the front of the hat, I would want to start in the center and work out. But if I am working this flat, if I'm going to do this on a start in the middle as in this line here, is this the line you're suggesting I start with? Doug's got a couple of questions. We're just going to get some clarification. So it takes a little bit longer. Yes, Doug, this is manual work. Doug's saying that I am going to wind up having to redo the spacing. Yes, when you're doing this manually, it's going to take more time. It's going to take more adjustments. I guess what he's trying to say is that because I started here, it's quite possible that this is going to have to be moved up. And it is. And I'll need to make more adjustments. And yes, maybe starting here would be better. That's, personal preference. If I have the time and I don't mind, I'll start and, tweak this and play with it and do whatever I need to do to get it to go where I want it to go. Is that what you're asking? Did I get that? Did I get to that question? Here we are. So that is how you create the arch to follow your particular hat. Yeah. Maybe. Doug's saying if I start in the middle and work out with my spacing and my kerning and my turning, I wouldn't have to redo it. Well, maybe. There's always something that needs to be tweaked. Alrighty. Okay, where are we? So that is how I create the arch. Now, I want to jump back. We've only got a few more minutes. Let me just hide all of this. Hard. And then bring our graphic back. Now, you don't do your own digitizing, you outsource it, and that's fine. That's what we're here for. Not everybody enjoys digitizing. For me, this is what I enjoy doing. So, just like at the beginning, trace your arch, scan it, and you will send that scan to your digitizer and give them the instruction that you would like your text to be a half inch from the drawn line. That is a half inch from here to here. Oh, Rashid wants to know what I mean by, wants to know what I mean by sewing it flat. Let's see. Where'd my mouse go? Oh, here it is. See, he said that. Mentioned sewing it flat. Could you explain more? Okay. Let's see. I don't have a hat hoop. I don't have a hoop here. If you one moment, going off screen for a moment. Oops, I'm back. Okay, so whether you're using a multi-needle machine or a flatbed machine, no matter. You'll use a hoop similar to this. Okay. You will hoop your stabilizer, not the hat, just the stabilizer. And for this particular technique, I would use a sticky stabilizer and straight pins because I just want to make sure that my hat is not going to float around under my machine. And then unsnap it. Actually, this, all right. Open it up so you've got your arch. Without doing too much damage to the hat, turn it inside out because your needle is going to go in here. And stick it flat to your hoop. I know you can't really see that, can you? Stick it flat to your hoop. Sticky, sticky, sticky. And then use your straight pins to pin off to the edges. Now, when you get your design file over to the machine, you are going to want to trace to make sure that you're not hitting your hoop, hitting any of the pins, or going outside your stitch area on the hat. Okay? Did we get that? This is one of my sampler hats. Of course, I found it in the cat bed, so I need to clean it up. Any other questions? Machine, if I didn't quite get that, let me know, and I'll actually, I don't know, do a quick video for you. Figure it out. Unless you're going to Everything Embroidery Market, in which case I will show you personally how to hoop the hard hoop. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, people. What is today? Today is the 9th. I don't have another event until when do I have my next event? You know, I've got it written down. Was it April? May? Where is it? Everything Embroidery. Yep, April 24th. I will be out of town. April 24th through the 28th. Going to Everything Embroidery Market. You're welcome. Working on prepping for my classes. I've got my table display set up. I'm still working on testing for the sewing thread projects. We'll figure something out for next week. Let me know if there's anything you want to get excited about. We'll figure it out. And I guess that's it. You all have a great weekend. You too, Frank. You all have a great weekend, and we'll see you again soon. Wasn't that fun? Do you have more questions? Do you want to learn something new? Join me at quicktostitch.com for coffee and conversation, and we'll talk about it. Embroidery machines, designs, and business. Hope to see you soon. Bye now.